Hi, everybody. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. Good to see you again. Just wanted to pop on quickly to look at a couple of things and, um, you know, make a couple of observations. So, thank you. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here a while, you're also welcome, and thank you so much. We are up to, I think it's 14,100 subscribers, in 3.5 months. Pretty amazing. Um, so thank you. All right. So I wanted to look at a couple of international questions, and then I want to just uh, say a couple of things about, our situation here in the US. So, the first international question that I want to look at is the fact that there has been a Chinese ship sailing in Danish waters. A. B. There were telecommunications cables cut in those Danish waters, under the sea. And so I just want to know, I'm not going to assume anything, but I would like to know what is that what is that Chinese ship doing there? Now, apparently it has been boarded, in fact, by Danish authorities. I don't know what they found, but maybe they're just, visiting. Maybe it's all friendly. But let's just see what the cards say. And of course, we have a card that we can use as the focus card, um, which is the ship. So I'm gonna look in the deck for the ship. I'll put the camera down so you can see. And I just want to pull a 5 card. Why is that Chinese ship in Danish waters? Does it have anything to do with those telecommunications cables that were cut underneath the Danish sea? So remember, we're looking for the ship. Okay, so this stands for the Chinese ship found in Danish waters. Okay, all right. The cards are the young woman, the crossroads, there's the ship, there's the heart, and there's the mice. Okay, so I think I'll pull a couple of clarifiers. Uh, yeah, for a couple of from pulling on everything except the young woman. Okay, so we have the young woman, the crossroads, the Chinese ship, the heart, and the mice. Okay, so, you know, I think with the young woman here, I think that the ship thought that it would um, be seen as just a ship, something benign, just going for a sail, very yin, nothing to see here. Okay. But clearly they had an ulterior purpose. Crossroads, they had a double path, double mission. Ships in the middle, and then we have the heart and the mice. So, the Danish love their land, they love their sea, they love their telecommunications. But here we have mice. Mice eat away at what the Danes love. So you see what I'm saying? Mice have teeth, they nibble, they erode. So I do think that they were responsible. Now, uh, again, I can mirror this young woman. This is this sort of benign, yin, open, hey, nothing to see here. We're just sailing the sea. But you can mirror it with this, and clearly there was an ulterior motive. And again, cross purposes. They were there for a dual purpose. Um, and it seems like it was to harm something that the Danes love, which is, of course, their land and their water. So I pulled clarifiers, on the off chance that this is not ulterior motives and dual purpose. So I got the scales and the snake. So again, here, they want to appear like they're above board and everything's fine, but really that's not the case. They were up to no good. They are up to no good. Uh, we have the ship, and the clarifiers for the ship are the stork and the book. Again, here we are sailing the sea, everything's fine, everything's good, because there's things that you don't know, Denmark, that we're doing. Remember, the book is about things we don't know. Okay. I clarified the heart with tree, anchor, and moon. So what they were after is attacking something precious to Denmark and Scandinavia, writ large, something that helps them keep in touch and connected to each other, something that keeps them safe and secure, something that is important to their identity, to their understanding of themselves in the world. Well, that would be telecommunications. So that's what they were attacking. Sorry, I dropped a card. And then these mice um, are clarified by house, bouquet, and cross. This is very interesting to me. So what did they want to erode? Something that would affect Scandinavia in their own territory, in their own house. Something that, the bouquet is something that lends beauty and ease to their lives, which of course telecommunications do. And what did they want to do? End it, cut it, cause harm to it. So I can mirror the very first card. This is our innocent looking yin card, up to no good. So, we could have figured that out, but it's always interesting when cards corroborate what your thesis is. Um, some people will say about card, oh yeah, well, it corroborates your thesis because that's what you wanted to see. Okay, if that's your skeptical point of view, that's fine. Um, I didn't have a dog in the fight in the first place. But I do think that that ship was up to no good. I do think that they are related to this telecommunications cable cutting that went on under in the North Sea or wherever it was. Okay. Speaking of things environmental like oceans, a viewer had a question. So apparently in Azerbaijan, there is a meeting that is winding up, and it's all about environment and CO2 emissions, emissions, and things like that. And um, so the question that they asked were, what commitments were the big, the top CO2 emitters? What promises were they going to make? What commitments would they make about CO2 emissions, greenhouse gases, the things that are creating uh, climate change for the bad, for the negative climate change. Um, Especially, this viewer said, in light of the election that we just had. We know that 45 has climate deniers around him. We know that he doesn't really understand how climate works or how energy works. We also know that he's filling his cabinet with, and I'll talk about this in a minute, disruptors, destroyers, etc. So, what kind of commitments are going to be made by these countries, and will they be kept? Commitments essentially meaning financial commitments to reducing CO2 emissions. Okay, so what kind of financial commitments will these countries have made? I think you know what? I'm gonna use clouds as the focus card, and they will stand for, CO2 emissions. And the question is, what are the big time, guilty parties planning to do to commit to changing this for the better? So, you know, China, the US, Russia, the ones that you think of when you think of big CO2 emitter countries. Okay, so we're going to use clouds to stand for this problem. And we want to know what the commitment will be. So looking for clouds. Deep in the deck, which doesn't mean anything, but here it is. Okay, so that stands for the problem, which is CO2 emissions, which are causing greenhouse gases, which is causing climate change. Okay. Okay. I know you couldn't really see what I pulled, but it's the tree, the ship, there's our clouds, there's our anchor, and then there's the bear. All right, and I think I'll pull some clarifiers on these before I talk about them. Okay. Okay, so we have the tree, we have the ship again, we have clouds that stand for the pollution, the CO2 emission, anchor, and bear. Um, this has been a problem that's been of long standing. The big powers in the world are responsible largely for these emissions. This is what I can mirror, the first card and the last card. Uh, the ship is the second card, and this is, gives me a little hope. This is saying, no, yeah, we get it's a thing, it's a problem, and we want to move forward with fixing the problem. But then we have the anchor. Sometimes an anchor is good, but sometimes it's not, right? An anchor can keep us safe, and an anchor can keep us stuck. It's interesting to me that these two nautical cards can be mirrored. So here's the ship, and here's us, doing what we can to reduce CO2 emissions, and then things get stuck, stopped, right? By by powers who have their own interests. This is the US, this is Russia, who, they don't care. They don't care. Uh, I drew clarifiers on this center card. These are these emissions. We have the young woman again. We have the scales, and we have the tower. These cards are just seem to me, this is the emissions, and this is very passive. Like, oh, yeah, we want to do something about it, but we don't want to go overboard. We want to be judicious. Our governments have to approve. We have to go by committee. It's an obfuscation tactic, right? So that really nothing is done. I drew cards on the anchor. This is this stuckness. And we have coffin, dog, and bouquet. I actually kind of like this, to tell you the truth. Even though the anchor is a stuck energy, and you could argue that the coffin is as well, the coffin can also be transformation, depending on what card it's with. So, there are all kinds of environmental groups, and there are countries in the world that do want to do something about this, who are friends of the earth, and would like to keep the earth green and beautiful and alive. So the fight will continue, and that's a good thing. Uh, Here's this bear, and these are the world powers that want to block any kind of substantive CO2 emission regulation, um, because they want what they want, they love what they love money, they love power, they love, you know, uh, pollution. Um, and you know, this is a card for cutting. So I kind of like it. But what I think will happen is that they will pay lip service to cutting CO2 emissions. And again, as my viewer asked, in light of the US election, um, 45 is no friend of climate science. So that does not bode well for this issue. Uh, so, okay, that's discouraging, but things can change, and there are uh, countries that do care about this, uh, that will do their best. But I don't know. I think the big ones will pay lip service, and I think that the US won't even do that much because 45 will be the new sheriff in town, and he doesn't care. Um, okay, I wanted to Uh, this might be a little controversial, these next couple of things. This will be short. So, I've heard talk about the fact that the Democrats are kind of at odds with each other about what happened and in the election and what to do about it. If you're interested, I wrote a little bit about this on my Substack today, which I wrote just before I came on here. So if you go to my Substack, and the Company of Cards is also its name, you can read that piece. Um, but I would like to know just, what are the Democrats thinking right now? I think I'll use the tower for them because they are currently the government, the power, the party in control for another hot minute. So we will look for the tower, and I just want to know what kind of conversations are going on amongst the Democrats. In fact, you know what? I'm not going to use the tower. I'm going to use the birds. And those that the birds will stand for conversations that the top Democratic Party brass are having in their post-mortem of this recent election cycle. Okay. So we will eavesdrop on them. Okay, we're looking for birds because that represents the conversations that the Democrats are having about what happened and what to do next. Okay, so this stands for the conversations that the Democratic bigwigs are having right now. And I'm going to pull a couple of clarifiers. Okay. So the cards are the scythe, the clouds. This stands for the conversations that they're having. Here's that anchor again, but we have the stork at the end, which is good. So what do these mean? Well, first of all, I mean, I think that the conversations are cutting. I think the conversations are blaming, because this is tough, the site. I get that the intention is, and I can mirror it with the last card, to have a better outcome next time. But still, they're in this ugly stage right now. And I know it's ugly, not just because this is the scythe, but because the second card is clouds. They don't know what happened. They don't know whom to blame. They don't know what to think. I can mirror the second card with our fourth card, the anchor. And again, this is about being stuck. You know, here's what I've heard. I've heard that there's some conversation about getting rid of Jamie Harrison, who is the Black current head of the party, and maybe replacing him with Rahm Emanuel, he of Chicago politics, he of the Obama campaign. He is, he's a fighter kind of guy. Um, and I've heard the theory that they think they need to have that kind of old style politician leading their party. And, putting to the side blacks, women, progressives, because look how that worked out. Now, I don't know. That's just word on the street. These cards so far are not saying that to me, but it is telling me that they are stuck and they are confused. Okay, so birds, of course, is in the center. This stands for their conversations. And the clarifiers are the scales, the mountain, and the dog. Uh, you know, so this is the conversations. The scale, they're trying to weigh things. Some people say, well, politics is a business, and we can't afford to be anything but street fighters if we want to win. Well, if you move to the right and you win, what did you win exactly? So, I mean, they just don't know what to emphasize, how to balance, how to balance things. They're stuck. Again, this is the mountain. They're stuck. Um, I like the dog. The dog is generally, it's a card of about siblings, about friends, about lawyers. Um, I mean, I'd rather see this card here than a lot of other ones I can think of. It's kind of like they're doing the Rodney King thing. Can't we all get along? How can we get along? What do we need to do so that we win the midterms in 2 years? What do we need to do to process what happened and come out not hating each other? I think they're really trying to figure that out. Okay, this stuck card is the anchor that comes after the birds, and the clarifiers are the star, the moon, and the tree. You know, going forward, they're stuck trying to figure out how to go forward. What does their future look like? What does their party stand for? One of the big arguments was that, that they didn't, that there's a classist component to the Democratic Party that didn't take into account blue collar voters. Not that Trump took them into account, mind you, because he didn't. I mean, he just got up there and did his dog and pony show. But they didn't feel catered to by, apparently, by the Democrats either. So, what again with this scales card, whom do they listen to? Do they listen to, Midwestern, Southern blue collar voters? Do they listen to, um, urban Black youth? I mean, who do they who is their constituency? Because I don't think they know, and I think it's going to take a long time. This is the card for that. Long time to really figure that out. They thought their constituency was one thing, they got blown out of the water. Again, I'm not saying that the thing wasn't stolen, but you know, as I said in my Substack, yeah, Musk was up to no good. 45 was up to no good. Peter Thiel was up to no good. Everybody was up to no good. But 36% of the qualified electorate didn't vote. Not to mention the white ones, when they did vote, didn't vote the way that Harris Waltz thought that they were going to vote. You know what it brings to mind? I'm going to say I'm old enough to remember this firsthand. This is not anecdotal. This is empirical. I remembered, the 60s. I was young, but I remember it with all of the, hoopla that you've heard about that went along with the 60s. But Richard Nixon came along and he talked about what he called the silent majority. And he got voted in by the silent majority. Nobody knew that he was going to win. And boom, he won. This is the same thing. It's the silent majority. They either stayed home or they just kept quiet, maybe even said that they were going to vote one way and then went into the booth and voted another way. They say that history is circular. It's not circular, but it's cyclical. And astrologically, we are experiencing the same kinds of things that we saw in 68. That would be one of them. That would be one of them. The silent majority. Is this the silent majority 2.0? Well, then the Democrats really need to figure that out. The last card in the line was the stork. Love this card. It means positive change. It's always a good card. And we have the fox, the house, and the heart. I think the fox is a card for expertise. And the Democrats are going to have to develop some expertise. How do you appeal both to blue collar, Midwestern white factory workers who've lost their jobs and to, you know, an urban Black population or, or to, professional young women? How do you appeal to those people all at the same time with the same candidate? They're going to have to get some expertise in how to do that if they're going to win back the White House. I also tend to mirror whatever the last card is with the first card that I pull, and that's this. The scythe mirrors the heart. And it's as though um, certainly the Democrats, and I mean, we as a nation are going to experience and have experienced some real heartbreak, some real sides in the heart. And that may be a necessary thing. So the final thing that I want to leave you with is just a comment. Physics tells us that except for certain kind of waves, not water waves, but like waves. What do you call them? What kind of waves? I don't even know. But anyway, science tells us, physics tells us that atomic waves, maybe, I don't know, that as a rule, it is impossible for two things to take up the same space at the same time. So why am I giving you a physics lesson? Well, we have gone along to get along all these 300 and some years, never addressing the things that we really do need to address: misogyny and racism. I mean, there's more, but we'll just keep it to those two for the moment, right? And If if two things cannot simultaneously exist in the same space, something's got to give, right? And what we are about to see in the next 4 years is a great dismantling of the institutions that we've always known, whether it's education, banking, uh, what, commerce and industry, uh, everything that we know. Look at the clown show cabinet proposals is about to be not amended, destroyed, destroyed. So let's take education, for example. You've got Linda McMahon nominated, she of wrestling fame, as the head of the Department of Education. We know that 45's intention is to dismantle the Department of Education, to destroy it. Okay, so what happens when the Department of Education is destroyed? Okay, it doesn't exist, right? People still need to be educated. So how will that take place? Will people in their own communities start forming, collaboratives and communal situations to educate students? Like a community hiring a teacher to teach their kids. Homeschooling will become a thing, maybe more. We'll relook at the agrarian model that we have, which has kids going to school 10 months of the year and off 2 months in the summer so that they can help pick the crops that we don't have anymore. There are things about a lot of our systems that are really antiquated. I do not think that 45 has any ideas on how to fix anything. He knows how to destroy, and he's vindictive, so he will. But what does that do? Destruction of one thing leaves room, space, open space, because whatever was there is gone, right? For something better to take its place. I'm not suggesting that 45 will be responsible for the something better that takes its place. I'm suggesting that we will be the ones who put in place the things that will, in fact, make us more able to create this more perfect union that we've talked about all this time and really haven't understood how to create. So, all is not lost. All things do work together for good, in my opinion, just my opinion. And that as you watch things sort of collapse around you, just remember that physics principle, that it's just making room for something better to emerge once, some people have left the stage, if you get my drift. All right. That's all I want to say. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I'm looking forward to what I'm going to be doing on some Sundays moving forward, starting with this Sunday. So it'll be a little bit different. I'll have a guest on with me, and I think you'll be interested in hearing from this guest. We will be talking together, call it Sunday Conversations. Um, but in the meantime, I hope you have a good rest of your week, and maybe I'll pop on before then and you know, see what the cards have to tell us. Take care. Bye-bye.